Today we're going to be talking about the Patriot Act, what it is, why it came about, and kind of my opinions on it and how I feel about it. The Patriot Act was made because of 9/11. In the aftermath of 9/11, there was a need to be able to prevent something so chaotic and so atrocious to happening to our country ever again. So there was a proposed bill, the Patriot Act, um, was proposed, and it wasn't really reviewed quickly. Like as soon as it was proposed, it was basically essentially passed right away, and it had bipartisan support. It was supported by all sections of our political spectrum, um, and happened very quickly. It gives a lot of power to the federal government. Some specifically like for agencies like the FBI, CIA, NSA, and it just takes a lot of or gives them a lot of freedom in their investigations and how they conduct them, bypassing warrants, um, accessing emails and browsing histories without warrants, and conducting sneak and peek investigations and roving wiretaps, which a roving wiretap is surveillance attached directly to a single person, so they can surveil that person in any means, in any capacity, rather than getting a warrant for a specific device or, you know, a specific phone line or device. Um, these methods are like weren't new and specifically made for terrorism. They were these methods were invented and used for combating the mob and racketeering back in the you know 50s, 60s, and 70s when that was like the big problem with the country. But the government seeing these as tools that would be useful in combating terrorism, and like the main point is to stop attack like a 9/11 attack from happening ever again. I think that's a big reason was just the magnitude of the 9/11 attack, why this bill wasn't really reviewed and was just pushed through very quickly and passed. Um, the Now like where the problems come with this is conflicting with the Fourth Amendment and unreasonable search and seizures. The Fourth Amendment directly states the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizure shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or thing to be seized. Now, where the Patriot Act gets all of its power from is it doesn't need to provide probable cause. It can just, once a person is designated as a terrorist activities, they don't really need to provide anything else. It can just be a suspicion, a whiff of terrorism, and they're able to start conducting these investigations. Within a lot of cases, no warrants needed to be provided. And now a big problem that people see is that the government now can, conclude that anybody's a terrorist and start using these methods upon just normal American citizens and prying into the average day American. Someone with no terrorist affiliation, nothing like that. You've seen a lot of the Patriot Act powers being used on mosques and on Muslims that had no affiliation with any terrorist organizations. Um, my personal stance on this is, you think about 9/11, you think about what could have been done to stop those attacks, and something like this does seem very useful in preventing it. But also, you have to think about you're putting in this immense power into someone's hand and asking them not to take advantage of it, to be responsible for it. And as we like stated, like laws, if all men were angels, there would be no laws needed. You wouldn't need to have any of this stuff, any of these restrictions on government, because then you'd be able to trust them, but you can't. And people take advantage of their positions of power all the time, and it's known. And so it's a scary thing. And I think that maybe 20 years, what is it, 2026, 25 years after the fact of these things happening, we found Osama bin Laden, you know, basically crushed Al Qaeda, all of these things, and we're still using these this Patriot Act to this day. You know what I mean? And so, you know, essentially, why are they using it? And I think maybe revising it and kind of looking more deeply into, um, you know, putting restraints on this, and it can't just be used in just, you know, a whim of I think this person might be a terrorist. But like on the other hand, like I'm saying though, like having something like this to protect us against a catastrophic event like 9/11, I also feel like is very important. But I think maybe just revision of it and a um, better control of it too. You know, of who could use it, when they could use it, how they could use it, and it definitely like a lot of it does conflict with the Fourth Amendment. So I do think it's unconstitutional to a certain degree, but maybe like that's why we should look into it, look into revising something like this and having more control over it.